In the spring of 1922, deep in the quiet Bavarian countryside, there was a small, isolated farm called Hinterkaifeck. It was miles from the nearest village, surrounded by nothing but forests, fields, and silence. The family who lived there, the Grubers, were known for keeping to themselves, but in late March of that year, something strange happened. The farm fell completely silent. No smoke rose from the chimney, no animals were tended in the yard, and no one was seen coming or going. For days, an eerie stillness hung over the property. Concerned neighbors eventually went to investigate, and what they found would become one of Germany's most infamous unsolved crimes. 6 people, the entire family plus their new maid, had been brutally murdered. And the most chilling part, the killer or killers had apparently stayed on the farm for days after the crime, living amongst their victims. This is the twisted, unsolved mystery of the Hinterkaifeck murders. The farm belonged to Andreas Gruber and his wife, Chiselia. They lived there with their adult daughter, Victoria Gabriel, and her 2 young children, just days before the murders. The family had hired a new maid. The previous maid had quit suddenly, claiming the house was haunted. She reported hearing footsteps in the attic at night, whispers, doors opening on their own. The family brushed it off, but soon Andreas himself noticed strange things. Footprints appeared in the snow leading from the forest to the house, but there were no footprints. Leaving, a newspaper arrived that no one in the family had subscribed to. Tools began disappearing from the shed. At night, Andreas heard movement above the ceiling. When he searched the attic, he found nothing. Still, he didn't call police. On March 31st, 1922, the family went about their evening routines. The children played, the animals were fed, the adults finished chores. No one knew it would be their last night alive. Investigators later pieced together what likely happened. One of the family members was drawn into the barn, perhaps by a noise, perhaps by someone calling their name. Inside the barn, they were struck in the head with a mattock, a heavy farming tool. They died instantly. Then another was lured. Then another. Then another, each killed one by one in the same spot. The killer was patient, methodical, cold. After killing for family members in the barn, the murderer went into the house. The new maid was killed in her bedroom. The youngest child was killed in his crib. There were signs of struggle, but no chance of escape. The killer didn't rush. They didn't flee. Instead, something horrifying happened next. The murderer stayed. Neighbors noticed smoke rising from the chimney days later. Animals were fed. Food was missing from the kitchen. Someone was clearly living in the house, but the family was already dead. When neighbors finally entered the barn, they found 4 bodies stacked on top of each other, covered in hay, as if someone had tried to hide them. Inside the house were the remaining victims, peaceful, still, silent. Police arrived, but the scene was immediately contaminated. Villagers walked through the house, touched the bodies, moved evidence. The murder weapon was found but later lost. Leads were mishandled, despite interviewing dozens of suspects. No arrests were made. The case quickly spiraled into chaos over time. A theory emerged that chilled investigators. The noises in the attic, the footprints, the missing tools. Many believed the killer had been secretly living in the attic for days or even weeks before the murders, watching the family. Learning their routines, waiting. When the moment came, they struck. More than a century has passed since the Hinterkaifeck farmhouse went silent. The buildings are gone now. The land sits empty. But the mystery remains. No one was ever arrested. No confession was ever made. No truth was ever uncovered. 6 lives were taken, and the killer simply vanished into history. Some investigators believe the murderer was someone the family knew. Others believe it was a stranger who had been watching them for weeks. And some believe something even more terrifying, that the killer was already inside the house long before the murders began. Listening, waiting, planning. If that theory is true, then the Gruber family was never alone in their final days, and whoever committed this crime walked away without leaving a name behind. Cases like this remind us that some of the darkest chapters in human history remain unfinished, unanswered, and unresolved. This was the twisted case of the Hinterkaifeck murders. And until the truth is finally uncovered, the farmhouse mystery lives on.